we're here with Elgin Charles. Elgin, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
So before we go into your backstory and your career, we want to talk about your new show coming on Blacktivity. It's your return from 10 years out of the TV world. Tell us about this new competition that you're holding, man.
Yeah, it's called Elgin Charles Hair Camp. And what it is a competition show where I'm going to bring in different stylists from all over the nation, maybe international, and bring them in and put them in the house together. And then I'm going to take them to a whole lot of different types of challenges when it comes to doing hair. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I'm looking for someone more of a millennial age or Gen Z to come in and walk in my footsteps. And so I'm trying to, keep my legacy alive and pass on the torch. For that right person, that right personality, someone that kind of, represent who I am.
And you said the winner gets a $25,000 grant to open up their own salon, right?
That's right. It's a franchise salon. We're trying to give them an opportunity to grow. And with them being on TV, it's going to really give them a lot of notoriety. So it'll draw in the crowd. And so it's up to them to be able to handle that crowd, be able to master the talent, also be able to manage a salon, and also be able to do press, and be able to, be a star stylist.
Right.
In other words, it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, that's great. We're huge supporters of small business, especially those who fund small business. So we can't wait to see it. Going into your backstory and your career a little bit, what did it take to rise to your level specifically in such a competitive industry? I guess Patrick and I, we don't really know much about the styling industry in general. So and we assume it's pretty competitive, like any industry in the creative arts. So tell us how you got where you were.
Well, it's a long story because I've been in the business over 40 years now. So.
Yeah,
I started out in my 20s. I think I was 24 when I went to beauty school, 25 when I started doing hair. But hair has always been a part of me. I had a passion for hair ever since I can remember. Since I was 2 or 3 years old, I always loved hair. It's not something that I respected as a career at that time because I didn't see anybody fabulous, someone that was making really a difference. I just saw local beauty shops. And then I found out about Diahann soon. So that gave me my whole, he was like my mentor. He gave me my vision. So to become the person that I am today, I believe faith was very important. I had to believe that I could be that person. 2, I really loved hair, so I studied hair. I knew it backwards and forwards. I could now tell you about the theory behind hair. I could tell you about how to do chemicals, hair cutting, coloring. I know it all. I know wigs. I know weaving. I know it inward and outward. But I believe the best decision I made to become the person that I am today is location. I made sure that I got into a Beverly Hills location because I knew that's what it was going to take for me to become that celebrity stylist that I want to be.
As one of the few Black stylists at your level during the height of your career, what were your barriers that you faced and how did you navigate them, especially coming from San Antonio?
Being accepted, being ushered in. Like when I decided to open up a hair salon, I was young. I had no credit. I was a beginner. I had no business credit for sure. And I didn't know if they were going to allow me to even rent a space to start a salon. Yeah. But I knew that I had made enough money in commission. I was giving away over $3,500 in commission to another salon. And I did the numbers. Like I said, I came out from finance. So when I did the numbers, I said, well, I'm paying $3,500. That should be enough money to get a lease and also be able to pay the electricity bill and the phone bill. And if I can keep those going, I can stay in business. So I looked at it like that. So that's how I looked at it, and that's what got me through the door.
How was that transition from finance to the hairstylist industry? Because I always hear people in my personal life switching careers or switching jobs, switching industries, but I don't know if I've ever heard somebody else who's went from finance straight to to that industry. But were there any difficulties associated to that career change, or do you think your background in finance may have helped you have a better understanding of business or money in general?
Both. I had no problem leaving corporate America, getting into the cosmetology field because that was something I had a passion for. That's something I was doing on the side. I was always done, neighbors' hair, my kinfolks' hair, and I was so intrigued by it. So when I went to beauty school, it was just giving me all the answers that I always thought of when I was doing hair, bootlegging hair.
Yeah.
so, so when I went to school, I was learning stuff right away. It was like, oh my God, this is why this happened. This is why that happened. And then when I decided to open up my own salon, it was easy because I already knew bookkeeping. I already knew how to do my books. And I already knew that part of it. I didn't have to go out and hire someone to come in and do my books or do my accounting and stuff. I already knew how to do that. So that transition really helped. It was like God wanted me to do that first, so that when I got into hair, I was already equipped and fortified with all the necessary tools to be successful.
No, it makes sense. Just thinking about it a little bit more, because even though like the industry sounds so different from each other, at the same time, finance prepares you to deal with like I feel like the business side of
absolutely,
any industry. I can definitely see now that you've explained it a little bit deeper how a background in finance might have helped you in that career change, especially given that you had a passion for the change that you were doing anyways.
Yeah, and also, you become incorporated. So you have to understand that part of it too. When you're running a business, you got to get your licenses, you got to get permits, you got to get all liability insurance and all that. So if you have a background in finance, then you're already used to that type of work. You're not just a creative artist that has no literal side to you. So it kind of balanced things out. It helped me to move fast in my career because I had those understandings.
I want to talk a little bit about your memoir. By the way, funny name because we're going to go into sexuality, of course, because it's a big thing in your life. And growing up in the 80s and 90s, I can only imagine what it's like being bisexual in that time period. It wasn't easy anywhere, even in California or New York. It still had those problems, right? So
well. I was born in 1960, so I go way back. I'm a baby boomer. So when I was coming up, it was very taboo to do anything that was abnormal to the norm. The Christian beliefs is man marries a woman and they become one flesh and they live happily ever after. So if you had any kind of interest that was outside of that belief, you would be criticized and practically persecuted.
yeah.
Some days they will stone you to death for that type of behavior and stuff. So I had a lot of guilt with those desires, not that I acted on them physically, but, mentally you do. Growing up, being an athlete and stuff, you're around a lot of athletes and stuff.
Yeah.
And you're trying to make sure you keep yourself looking eye to eye. You don't look down kind of thing. And then, and then also, of course, you got that side eye, going on.
Yeah, right. Oh, that's hilarious, man.
So you're just trying to, man up with everything. And also, the military, they had this thing that they said, don't ask, don't tell when it came to that homosexuality or anything like that. So you didn't ask, you didn't tell. And my dad is out of Air Force, very militant man. He was not into that type of stuff at all. And me being a hairdresser, I was always playing with my hair. When I cornrowed my hair going back and stuff like that, and he saw me with cornrows, he went off. He didn't, what is this? What you doing? And then I used to wear the big afro. And the afro with my type of hair is kinky. It gets really tight. So I used to braid my hair up at night and get up in the morning and comb it out so I could have a nice afro because I was always in the hair. And one morning I was up taking the braids out and my dad came in to wake me up to go to school and he saw me. And he just looked at me, and I looked at him. And then he just shut the door and went on about his business. So he was a little upset about it. But when my brother got his hair cornrowed, then everything became all right because he thought of it like it was just a trend, a fad. how we were doing our hair during that time. So then like I was raised in a small town. Well, San Antonio is not that small, but the mentality is very small.
Right. Oh, yeah. Totally relatable, especially here in Columbus. Yeah, for sure.
So anyway, my mom always told me to move west. Young man, move west. You need to go to California. I had an aunt that lived there. I can go stay with her and stuff. So I knew then that if I left San Antonio and I go to LA, I might be able to explore some of these sexual prowess that I had inside of me. And that's what I did coming up in the 80s. It was quite something else.
Yeah, Hollywood back then, dude. I mean, you know how it is. You wrote it. You wrote in your memoir, dude. Sex, drugs, rock and roll / R&B, bro. That's how it was. Yeah, I can only imagine what that life was like. So that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, it was. I've always been conservative. I never, raised Christian. I've never been one to go out there and do that. I was looking for love. I ain't gonna lie. I was looking for love. I wasn't just trying to, bip, bam, thank you, man, kind of thing. I was just trying to find me someone to fall in love with. I had those kind of beliefs. But that type of lifestyle is very difficult because people are so promiscuous in that type of.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people, especially here in the Rust Belt, can relate to that, especially in the rural parts. I mean, I know so many people, not even pursuing their own creative ideas. I mean, going out west or east or whatever, like they want to leave their rural town because of their sexuality and their feelings. When it comes to living in red states, I do feel like a lot of people deal with that same issue, whether it's living in rural parts or even in big cities, just because of that mindset, right? The mindset in those states is just a lot different, for sure. I want to ask you what your creative process is when it comes to designing new looks for celebrities or actor, or whoever, So I go into that a little bit and describe your process when working with a client.
Well, it depends on the job. If they're coming to me just to get a new hairstyle or just to be beautiful, then I usually looking in the mirror, looking at their features and have a consultation with them, whether they want to go short, long, their type of industry at focus and stuff. If they're in a high profile corporate America look, I try to give him more of that look. If they're like a journalist on TV, like doing the news and stuff, they have a certain look for that too. But then if you're dealing with a celebrity star, like an actress and stuff like that, a lot of time you have a team that you consult with. And they also have a focus board of what they think. You have people who do the clothing, people, they have ideas. So we collaborate together and we have an idea of what we want to do in order to create a hairstyle that fits their need at the time. So it can be very complex. But if you're dealing with, also you have to deal with the type of entertainment they're in. If they're hip hop, you have to come up with more of a hip hop type of style. You got to be more on the edge and stuff. But if they're like a Diahann Carroll and she's like a classy lady and all that, then you have to be more, bougie with it. You got to be more, dynasty, that kind of stuff. So you have to take all that into consideration. And then also, you're doing other things than just styling hair. You're adding hair, you're getting extensions, you're doing wigs, you're doing coloring. So it's a lot to it. So if you really want to grow in this industry, you have to know every aspect of hair so that you can make sure you can deliver and give them that look and make them feel good. Because you can put the wrong hairstyle on the wrong person and they don't feel it. So you have to feel them as well because they have to like it. You don't want to have to persuade them more. You want them to look and say, oh my God, this is it. Oh, you're fabulous. That kind of
thing. Right. Oh, that's awesome. How did the beauty industry change over the years, since the 80s and 90s? And do you think it's heading in a positive direction today?
Well, that's a twofold question on my part. I think the industry is thriving, especially for the young people now with social media.
Yeah.
They can put their work online and get a clientele based on their work. Back in my day, you couldn't do that. In order to do a video or anything, you had to spend 10 grand just to get it
Yeah.
done.
I can imagine.
And then it was an 8-track or a cassette or something like that.
Right. Yeah. Old school.
But yeah, old school, analog. Okay, but now in this digital world, it's easier for them to do it. But also, it has. That's why I say it's twofold. YouTube, we call it the YouTube of cosmetology. Nowadays, you go on YouTube, you put in whatever it is you want, and it'll come out, a tutorial. And a lot of them are doing the hair themselves. They have no license. They don't know anything about the theory, about the cosmetology in general. They just have a creative, artistic way of doing hair. Like a singer could sing, but if they took lessons, then they understand the differences of chords and notes and all that other stuff. Same thing with hair. The more education, the more you've been trained, then the more you can help to prevent, scalp diseases and all that other stuff. So it's more than just doing hair. And also, nowadays, they're really changing when it comes to how many hours you need to even get a cosmetology license. And, they graduated from a cosmetology school. And now, to get your license, all you have to do is just have a little bit of a theory, answer a few questions, and you get your license. There's no more of a practical test. Back in the day when I went, you had to know everything. You had to do hair, you had to do the roller set, pin curl, you had to do permanent wave, you had to sit there and do a manicure, pedicure on the client, all kinds of stuff. Good. Nowadays, it's so easy. So I believe it's lax when it comes to the expertise of the field. So that's one of the reasons why I'm so excited about Elgin Charles hair cap, because I plan to test them on all the things that I went through, because I'm looking for someone that really knows their shit, if I could say that.
Totally, yeah, and I think it's great. You know, coming back from a 10-year hiatus off TV and starting this new competition. I mean, good for you, man. That's great. I have to ask this question because of your experience and like how long you've been in Hollywood. You got to tell us at least one client story that stood out to you the most during a session, right? Like, I'm sure you have that one memorable story that, kind of sits in your brain that you'll never forget, right?
Well, I have a lot of them.
Yeah.
Which one I want to tell? Two come to mind. But I'm gonna tell this one because I hardly ever. I don't even think I said it in my memoir. Stevie Wonder.
Nice.
He came into the salon to get his hair done. Now, it was our two black guys, myself and Day Lee, that worked in the salon together. And Day Lee was before me, so he was more like a mentor. He was fabulous. His name probably wasn't Day Lee, but he had a French accent. He kisses everybody, and he's from Templeton, Georgia, somewhere. Anyway, we were, Stevie Wonder came in, and Stevie Wonder had his hair in braids, and it had been in braids for so long. We took the braids out, and his hair was matted, okay? Tangled, matted up.
Yeah.
And so Day Lee, with his extravagant, but decided that the best way to get the tangles out was to put the relaxer on it and started relaxing his hair. He felt that the relaxer would soften the tangles and it would just come on out. Well, contrary to that, it didn't happen. The relaxer on his head and the tangles in there, it was stuck, and he was steady trying to get the tangles out, and then all of a sudden, Stevie Wonder started doing this. He's done, wait a minute, it's burning. What's going on? And then he was like, hey, you better start moving. And so we had to hurry up and rush into the bowl and rinse out the relaxer and everything. And then when he came out of there, he still had the tangles in his hair and everything. And it was it was not a good experience. And I was there assisting, so it wasn't on me. And I looked at him with a side eye in the first place. Well, why were you doing that? Everybody knows you comb out the tangles first, and then you put on the chemical because it's a chemical. It can burn.
Yeah.
So anyway, he had to deal with that. So that's one story that will always stay with me because that happened early in my career.
Well, what year was that?
That had to be in 1989.
Wow. That's crazy.
1989.
That's insane.
And then another story, since I'm telling it, is Diahann Carroll. the late Diahann Carroll, who was the first to get a, Tony Award, Emmy, all that stuff. She's just such a high achiever. She was like my Hollywood mom. Okay? I started doing her hair, and we became friends. And she was, she adored me, and she didn't have a son, and she just adopted me as her son. And so she had mother wit for me. She had a lot to tell me about. So this is what happened. I have a son. He lives in Texas. I was in Texas visiting him, and he went to the flea market and bought me this short set, okay? It's a short set. So it was my off day on a Monday, and I was doing errands and stuff. So I had it was an orange, a bright orange, too. It was very, very wrong. She called me up, and she wanted me to come over to her house and do her hair, do a house call. I was like, well, Miss Carroll, I was doing, okay, I'll come. So I came over there in that orange short set. I had on Gucci shoes, so I thought I was all right. And she looked at me and she said, now, Elgin, you know you're Elgin Charles of Beverly Hills. And I just have to tell you this right now because I don't want you to ever do that again. Don't ever come to my place looking like that. And I'm like, what? What's wrong with the way I'm looking? As I said, don't ever come out of the house. You have to represent who you are at all times. So you have to dress to impress and make sure you do that. You understand? Oh, yes, Miss Carroll, I understand. I was a little offended, but I was like, look, it's my off day. I'm doing you a favor, but it is what it is.
It's a great stories.
God, yeah, that's insane, man.
You talked about like YouTube is like great for just education and materials related to your field. And I just want to say I appreciate you bringing that up because I believe it's one of the great privileges that we often take for granted in the modern world. There's so many, like I know as somebody, like my background's in philosophy, I can go look at any paper online, whereas like 50 years ago, I would have to buy so many individual journals. Or if you're like a mechanic, you can just go on YouTube and find out how to like fix a car.
Right.
And those are just two examples. And like you said, in your line of work and in your field, the same sort of thing applies. And I think it's just, there's so many awful things that happen in the world.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's good to appreciate little things like that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it truly is like an incredible thing that we have access to in the modern world.
Yeah. You can find anything on YouTube.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
It's
anything you want. I mean,
I guess another question I had is you talked a little bit about your faith earlier. So how does theology or your faith influence your work and your well-being in your life?
Well, when I first started out doing hair, I think I became introduced to the Christian Cosmetology International Association, CCIA, Dr. Stella Davis. And she was out of Christian Center, which is a huge church at the time, under the tutelage of Dr. Price. It was a big faith ministry. So at that time, I was drawn to the church because of the epidemic that was going on back in the 80s. You remember the AIDS epidemic.
Oh, yeah.
So when that happened and everything, I was like, a lot of stylists was dying right around me. I mean, numbers of stylists was passing away. So I ran to God. I wanted to understand God for myself. I wanted to learn more. And I had gotten into this organization. And then eventually I ended up going to ministry school for myself because I wanted to know God for myself. And also, if there's going to be any condemnation, I needed to know it through the word. And then I found out there's no condemnation in Christ Jesus, which freed me from a lot of persecution that I had lived with because of my desires. So my faith really helped me through that part of me. Also, I realized that through ministry that anytime you have the opportunity to lay your hands on someone, that is considered laying of hands. So that's a ministry in itself. And as a cosmetologist, you lay hands on people. You touch them. You impart. You can impart spiritual things. You can pray for them. You can do all kinds of things. So I always looked at the cosmetology field as a ministry. So with that, I was able to give sage advice to people who were going through things. I deal with a lot of, I have dealt with a lot of clients that have had bouts with cancer, Parkinson's, all that. And so they're looking, when they come to you, they're just looking for whatever golden nugget of advice or spiritual guidance or anything, and even prayer. Many times we have prayed over clients for their healing and stuff and stayed in the gap, interceded for them to get their healing. And I have testimony of people that have really gone on. They got through the cancer and they went into remission and they were able to continue their life. And a lot of these ladies, when they start having, when cancer hit them, they lose weight. So everybody's telling them, oh, you look so good. What you doing? And they don't understand that they're going through the worst time of their life, but they look so good because they lose the weight. And then they lose their hair. So I have to put a lace front on them to make sure that they look good and no one ever knows because they don't want to tell their business anyway. And they have to still go to work and they have to stand there and keep it going. And they go through a lot because that chemo is really hard on the body. There was one celebrity client that I did back in the day who had breast cancer. And I did all I could do to believe. And it really, it took a toll on me because I really wanted her to live because she was such a marvelous person. She was so wonderful. And so that worked on my faith a little bit, but I had to, God gave me understanding about it, but then there's so many that I have agreed for their healing that it went into remission and they're still doing good today.
Again, I'm not a religious person. I've always been an atheist, but I do respect the fact that there are still Christians out there that use their faith for good because, especially in a lot of red states like Ohio, Indiana, Texas, Florida, we have a huge white Christian nationalist problem. And it's good to hear that there are still good Christians out there that are, using their faith to help people, to give back to their communities and, support people in need and, stuff like that. So that's great to hear.
Well, yeah, it could always be misconstrued depending on your political views, your agenda, all that.
Yeah.
But if you have a good heart and you really want to do right and love is the main thing, then those principles do work. And love is everything. Yeah. Love thy neighbor as thyself.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Yeah, well, I do think it's important to note too, though. I know my background. I've gone back and forth with my belief in faith, but I do believe that faith is powerful in the sense of building humanity between each other. And I can see in your field and in your career, it's not just about providing a service to someone or a transaction. It's about treating them as a human being first. And I think that's where faith and religion is really powerful. And I know my background in philosophy, I've become more interested in philosophy of religion, especially over the past year. I was born or I was raised Lutheran in a very pro-LGBTQ church. And, I growing up, I really internalized those morals and connecting to people and helping people. And I appreciate your stories and how your faith influenced your work, because I think that's really important.
Yeah, I think it is too. We're a spirit, we have a soul, we live in a physical body. We're tripartite. So I believe spirituality is good. I'm not religious, because I think that's where you go wrong, because, you're not worshiping God now. It's all man-made tradition, like the Pharisee. And so I believe in the scriptures and how it's written to enhance my humanity and also my spirituality. All the other stuff to me, the Word of God says that in the last days that a lot of people are going to not believe in God because of the hypocrisies and all the stuff that has happened. So people don't believe or trust, like the Catholic Church and all the molestation, and then the Christian nationalists that believe in certain things, but yet they don't love their neighbors, or they're not into diversity, equity, and inclusion because it's a bad name now when it's nothing but good words. If you look up the definition, it's just about loving one another and including one another. But all these things come in, and the devil, the enemy of he's the enemy. He is the author of confusion when it comes to languages. And since we have this huge thing of communication with the digital world and information of all this information out there, he can confuse that and cause us to have a lot of animosity, a lot of dissension amongst each other because of that, even through the songs and all that. He's the prince of the airway. So this is expected. This is known to happen. And it's just manifesting in my lifetime. I didn't think it was going to happen so quick. But I see so much is happening right now that has been told to me by my grandmother back in the day. When she was talking to me, she'd say, there's going to be a time when you'll be able to listen to someone all the way in London, here in LA, at the right time that they do it. And I'm like, oh, Grandma, what are you talking about? And guess what? It is happening today.
Oh, true. I want to know what your message is to young artists and stylists that don't know where to start, especially those growing up in those rural communities like Ohio and like the Rust Belt. What would you tell them, and what would your best advice be to folks like that?
Well, if they want to get into entertainment or become a stylist, they have to first, it has to be a passion. It has to be something that's in their hearts, something that they love. And if you love it, then you're going to continue to go out there and look for it. So there are different organizations in the community that they're in that they can find. Like if they want to be an actor, go and take some acting classes, get an organization where they have these different acting, I guess it's like a social thing where you can learn and study. Also, once you've done all you can do in your community, then you know that you're going to have to find another location where you can really go into the field that you want to go into. Like I knew styling back home, but I didn't want to be a stylist back home because I didn't see the vision. But when I came to LA and I saw how it can really be something that I could embrace and love, because I came to a place where it was grandized, then I was able to pursue it more and make my dreams come true. So eventually you're going to have to leave your rural area or your red state and go where it's happening. And so that's what I would say. Learn your skill first, and also don't give up on your dream. And when you go out there, go with all you can. And like with me, I had faith to believe that God will give me favor because I'm a child of God, and He opened up doors for me. That's my testimony.
Elgin, we appreciate your time, man. It was an absolute pleasure for you to join us. And we will have to make it out to LA at some point.
Well, come on out. I'll show you a good time. You'll have a ball.
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome, man. But yeah, Elgin, thank you so much. And we're happy to have you on at any point.
Well, thank you for having me.